well is August 25th, and it's going to be a bit of a short one because I only have two reviews for all of you. It's going to be NXT UK. As you know, we continue on because, as you know, uh, all the NXT UK shows are in fact taped, and NXT UK will disappear once all of it's shown. But that doesn't mean I don't get to review. I don't get to review what took place during that time. And of course, we got, of course, Impact Wrestling, where we're seeing the build up all the way to Bound for Glory. As you know, a lot of good stuff is taking place, which I'm excited to review what really happened. And of course, the last thing we're going to do is some news updates, what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, let's begin with the latest edition of NXT UK. Now, keep in mind, as you know, we started the whole thing with the NXT UK Championship Tournament. Right now, we're in the semifinals. So, our first match, we have none other than Trent Seven versus Oliver Carter. Now, what this match I do like the story is this: Trent Seven, ever since he had this attitude when he was one half of the NXT UK Tag Team Champions with Tyler Bate, he had a change of attitude. It's more like he feels that his time is running out, and now he feels as the NXT UK title is now vacant, it's up for grabs. He feels now that nothing's going to stand in his way, even if that person is the one person that helped defeat him and Tyler Bate to obtain the NXT UK tag titles. But however, Oliver Carter has a challenge up his head, and that is, of course, as you know, he has been injured recently during a few times, and that kind of plays out in a good way for Tyler Bate because he was going to target it. Now, what Tyler wanted the last time is for him to walk out and let him win. But Oliver Carter feels, I'm not going to ruin this opportunity of a lifetime, because Trent Seven feels like he deserves everything. But, of course, Oliver Carter doesn't back down. But he did put up a good effort until he had no other choice but to tap out, thanks to the targeted knee that Trent Seven mentioned he was going to do. So we now know he is going to be a finals. But who will be his opponent in the finals? Well, that match was next, and it's between, of course, Tyler Bate and Joe Coffey. Now, I want to say this is how I see in this match. You have Tyler Bate, who has been the first NXT UK champion, you know, one of the toughest SOPs I've ever watched. And of course, you got Joe Coffey. Now, he is one of the impressive wrestler, but the sad part is that he never won the NXT UK championship. I mean, I've seen him go up for that title many times, but he never gets it. So now it's like, okay, this is the huge deal between two competitors, one who has been the champion, who hasn't. But I think, in my opinion, it was going to end up with Tyler Bate. Now, the reason is this: if you follow the story wise completely, you can tell it's going to end up with Tyler Bate when he finally won. The reason is this: what better way to end NXT UK where Tyler Bate finally gets to finish off the man that he believed helped NXT UK, but now betrayed him for his own personal greed and values. So I think it's going to tell us a fantastic story between those two. So we'll see what happens. But here's much interesting news that is taking place. Seth Scala, as you know, he's been dealing with the whole thing, what's been going on. Who is the number one contender? That will be facing Meiko Satomura. Now, keep in mind, originally we were supposed to have Saray. Saray could make it. However, that did not happen. But 4 women had pleaded their cases to obtain the title. You got Dare Bladford, who claims she should have been NXT UK Women's Champion right about now. Then you got, of course, Amel, who believes that she has the upper hand due to the fact that she has the better momentum, and then Eliza Alexander and Aladon. So that kind of tells us. So Sis Scala came up with a 4-way #1 contendership that's going to happen the following week, I believe. So we'll see about that when it goes in. Now, our main event is the NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship. Now, this title, Noam Dar has felt that he should have been, that he is the true pinnacle of what the Heritage Cup is. Now, Mark Coffey won this title anyway, but the one thing that was really strange is we did not see Shaw Samuels. As you know, he said he can do this by himself. You know, a part of me feels like he is lying. There is no way that he's going to do this without Shaw, because Noam Dar has always lied. Claims that he knows what he's doing. But one thing I did like is how both men end up tied in 2 different rounds. First it was Noam Dar, then Mark Coffey, and then finally when we thought in the final round, we thought everything was going to go into Mark Coffey's favor, Shaw Samuel shows up. Yep, effing Shaw shows up. Once again, being the weasel that he is, decides, to help his buddy to reclaim what he felt was lost to him. So I did not like that, how it turned out, but I don't know if there's going to continuation with the Heritage Cup or that's pretty much it. But we'll find out soon enough. So I think that's pretty much it with NXT UK. I believe it's time for Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. As you know, we're building up now to the next pay-per-view, Bound for Glory. We opened up with the Knockouts tag team titles between, of course, the challengers Mia Yim and Jordan Grace to take on Vex, consistent of Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green. So this is a new team that has now been making a better headways. I have to say their strategy always did help to keep to separate one of the other. They managed to separate Mia Yim from Jordan Grace for some time until Jordan Grace was willing to get back again in the ring and deal with it. But however, once again, the distraction by one of them gives the upper hand for Vex to retain the title. So that kind of plays out in a way where they're like showing the supremacy that they are the most well-topped knockouts tag team that we've seen. Now, as you know, our main event, we're going to see Violent by Design to take on Time Machine, consistent of Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Kushida. Now, of course, Violent by Design likes to set out these propagandas saying that, time, their time is up and this is their way because they got to get rid of the sickness that is Time Machine. So they believe that this world once again will be theirs. Now, as you know, recently we know that Josh Alexander will be facing Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory for the Impact World title. Now, Vincent, on the other hand, has been playing these mind games where he feels Josh Alexander, we don't need to be enemies. Join us. Impact Wrestling is going to betray you the same way they did to Eddie Edwards. So he's trying to see if he can get him on the same page, knowing that he's better off away from, the lies and the deceit by Impact Wrestling. But Josh Alexander's like not feeling it. He knows that he's trying to get it to his head, but he's not going to let him. Josh Alexander is too good for that. Now, our next match we have is Mike Bennett along with Maria to take on Carl Anderson. Now, here's the much interesting stipulation. As you know, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, OGK, will be getting a shot of the Impact Wrestling World titles. However, the one X factor that is a problem is Maria. Now, Maria claims that, she did nothing wrong. We all know she's trying to make sure because that's how it rolls. However, the more who doesn't like Honor No More came up with the stipulation saying that if Carl Anderson wins the match, Maria is banned from ringside. And of course, that's how it's going to be. Now, Mike Bennett tried to do everything his power to keep them down. But when that did not work, of course, Matt Taven shows up to give the upper hand, but out of nowhere, the big LG, Doc Gallows, shows up to the rescue, giving Carl Anderson the gun stun that he needs onto Mike Bennett. And 1, 2, 3, adios, Maria, so we can't see you ever again. And of course, D'Amore is a happy guy. He is truly happy to see the Good Brothers did that. And of course, he gave everybody the too sweet. So I'm sure Honor No More is not going to take that too kindly. Now, last week we saw the debut of 2 weeks ago we saw the in-ring debut of Killer Kelly. As you know, Tasha Steelz feels that all the attention has been driven away to Killer Kelly. However, Savannah Evans became the first victim by Killer Kelly. Might have damaged her neck or something, so the doc wasn't sure, but he is certainly that she might have had internal damage, but to confirm it, he wanted to do some tests. Now, when Tasha Steelz stepped out, she was interviewed, being pissed off, talking trash about Killer Kelly. Out of nowhere, Killer Kelly shows up from behind, chokes her. So the obvious question does remain about this story-wise. Is Tasha Steelz really is the Puerto Rico badass as she claimed? Or does she cannot deal with someone with the killer strive like Killer Kelly? She's crazy. She's very methodical. And I think that tells us, does Tasha Steelz really lost her touch? That's a question we will find out soon enough. Now, Brian Meyer comes out for commentary. Reason is he has Jason Hotch, who on the other hand is facing against Bhupinder. And of course, Bhupinder won the match by the spear on the top corner buckle. But of course, Myers, who is the so-called professional wrestler, decided to take out Bhupinder before he has to get another shot of the digital media title. And frankly, that backfired on him. But he did a little play where he won the title and all that, and apparently Bhupinder took the title. The referee, Scott Armstrong, tried to get it back, but no. He's taking a page out of course, what's his name? Matt Cardona's playbook. If you guys remember, when Rich Swann defeated Matt Cardona believes that was invalid. So basically, it tells us that whole thing. So we're going to see where they're going to go with that. Now, as you know, Gail Kim has been building up a lot of things going on. Vex, Green, and Peraza are feeling like they're lucky that they should get all of the gold that they have down there. However, as you know, Masha Slamovich has been making headway, so Gail Kim put Deonna Purrazzo to take on Masha Slamovich, and whoever wins that match will go for Bound for Glory. I hate to say this, Masha Slamovich is going to get that match and win, and that's going to be interesting to see. Now, our next match, we have Vincent versus Josh Alexander. I think this match was telling us, okay, Vincent tries to prove, like, come on, Josh, you know I'm right. You know Impact is going to betray you. But fortunately, it did not work. He got C4 spiked by him. As soon as the celebration was gone, Eddie Edwards tried to reason with them, saying, we don't need to be enemies. He's trying to, like, tell him, Impact Wrestling will betray you. But unfortunately, the Redhead Rebel striked again. And this time on the leader. I'm like, oh my God. I can't even believe what just happened. But you should have known better. Now, we see this little segment where Raj Singh and Shera were being disrespected many times. However, there was an argument, commotion coming out from the corner, and it turned out it was Moose and Macklin. Looks like they are in working relationships despite the fact that Moose declined. However, Sami Callihan decided to rain on the party and decided to attack them, and then they beat him up, even put him in a barbed wire. But later on, Callihan shows up in barbed wire, saying that you thought this is going to stop me. Well, I call this a party. So he decides on Victory Road, there's going to be the barbed wire massacre. So basically, this is going to be another hectic, crazy idea from Sammy. Nothing that has been done before, but it's going to be interesting to see. Now, we get the debut of Jessica take on Alicia. I thought this was a very interesting matchup because Jessica is like all happy, Havoc is all serious, all business, but I don't think it makes any difference. I mean, the size of Jessica, it speaks for itself. But of course, she won her match by applying that little move. I forgot what she calls it, but yeah, I thought it was fun, really fun. Now, um, as you know, we're waiting. It was announced that we're waiting for the return of Mickie James. We don't know how she's gonna be due to the fact that she lost miserably to Chelsea Green. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our main event, we have, of course, Violent by Design versus Time Machine. I thought this match was great because I love how the combination, as you know, Alex Shelley has been teaming with either Kushida or um, with Sabin. But it tells us, he's willing to work with both men, despite the fact they're different styles. So I thought, in my mind, it was a good combination. But it was, of course, the cradle shock that gave the whole thing away by Sabin to Diener, giving the Time Machine really interesting momentum. Now, here's a fun thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in either competing for the Never Open with six-man titles or possibly the AEW trios. I don't know. But it'll be fun to see. So I think that's it with Impact Wrestling. I believe it's move on time to news updates. Okay, our last thing we're going to do is some news updates. Now, for all you Stardom fans out there, you saw exactly what happened. You saw a video clip of Rossy Ogawa being taken by the Grim Reaper once again. But I'm trying to figure out how does Saki Kashima fit into this. Now, remember, with the Grim Reaper, we saw him on two different occasions with Rossy Ogawa. The first one was with Saya Kamitani, the other with Starlight Kid. And that match turned out to be a coffin match with the Grim Reaper, who later revealed to be you. Now, and then of course we had Kamitani and Kid in that same match. So this is how it happened in the whole video. Kashima, as you know, she's a pain in the butt to Rossy Ogawa on certain occasions. Now, when the Grim Reaper shows up, Kashima thought it was a lot of fun. It was funny for what's going on to him being choked out. But the laugh just ended when she saw the Grim Reaper put Rossy Ogawa in a car. And she's like, what the? She didn't do a thing. She just let this whole thing unfold. Like, she thought it was just a prank or a joke. But I don't know if this is part of a put her in a match in Showcase Volume 2. That is the thing that still puzzles me. But if it does, we will see. Now, keep in mind, we've seen certain things, how they build up for the Showcase. So we'll be following that as soon as possible. Now, for our updates in GCW World, as you know, I mentioned wrestlers that will be making their way to Japan. We have, of course, announced John Wayne Murdoch and Jordan Oliver. So this is a very interesting thing to see. Those two, they will be in all three shows taking place. But more on that. As you know, they announced for their UK match in Liverpool, I believe. We had, well, I don't know if that's Liverpool. They announced a match for GCW versus TNT. We have Oliver and Wayne taking on the Kings of the North. Now, I don't know who these guys are. I never watched any of the TNT Extreme Wrestling events. I know of them. Cologne is a champion from those from that promotion as well, but I never seen any of it. But hopefully I can see it. And finally, as you know, we had this thing called the Settlement Series. Now, if you guys never seen the Settlement Series, this is where every wrestler plead their case to the Booth Supreme Court. We're talking about Effie and Ellie Catch. I thought it was fun. So we're gonna get part 2 coming up, and I believe it's gonna take place on the 3rd of September in the Grand Sports Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. So I can't wait to see who is gonna be going to court. Now we have this thing called the Jungle Kyona Watch. As you guys know, Jungle Kyona has been making surprises appearances, announcements that she'll be appearing in American promotions. 2 updates have come in. Now, it's already been announced that she will be making her way to West Coast Pro, but however, no opponent was announced, so it's gonna take place in October 8th for the Ride the Lightning. She'll be facing against Sandra Moon. This is gonna be a very good match, in my opinion, to enjoy. Now, Black Label Pro has announced recently for their upcoming event, Turbo Grab 24, that will be taking place on September 24th. From the look of it, this is more of a, how do I say, bit of like a battle royale type match or rumble match. I'm not sure, but it was announced that Jungle Kyona will be making her appearance there. She is entrant number 1. Now I have to say, Jungle Kyona has been making some strong headways to whatever she's going to appear in here in the U.S. I know she is so happy that she's going to be there. I know many of you guys, if you're Jungle Kyona fans, for any of the areas you know Jungle Kyona is going to be there, you know you're going to have something fun and special. And finally, sad news coming from the Garden State Pro Wrestling. As you know, their latest event, Dynasty Clash, that will be taking place later on in September on the 16th. It was announced that Veny, aka ASUKA, will not be able to make it to this venue. Now, according to them, this is out of their control. I don't know exactly. They didn't get too much specifications on the details. But if I have to guess, I'm going to say that maybe there's been schedule conflicts with Veny from coming here. Now, if you guys ask me, why did I call her Veny / ASUKA? Now, in Japan, she goes by the name ASUKA, and she cannot use that name here in the States because of another Asuka we know, down in WWE. But in Japan, she was known as Kana, so that kind of sets in. So don't be confused, people. Veny's also known as Asuka, but in Japan, Asuka here is known as Asuka here in the U.S., but in Japan, she's known as Kana. So don't get it twisted. So still unclear what's gonna happen towards then, but we'll see what takes place. But they did say they are going to find her a replacement for their show. The show must go on. I know there's many. I mean, if you guys remember in Garden State Pro, what's his name? Someone from Garden State Pro couldn't make it, but Balanaki stepped in as a suitable replacement. And I think that tells us a lot. So we could see that. So I think that's pretty much it right now with this. It's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we're going to have 5 awesome reviews taking place. The first one's going to be, of course, New Blood 2. This is a show that Stardom has put out to give the much lesser experienced wrestlers between 2 to 3 years of experience. I have to say there's going to be gun, and I know for those who are going to be watching, we're going to see the return of Waka, who we haven't seen for almost a month, ever since she got injured. We're all excited for her big return, and of course her match that will be taking place. We also got, of course, I'm going to be reviewing 2 DDT events. The first one is Wrestle Peter Pan, which is their version of WrestleMania. If you guys know this or not, Konosuke Takeshita came back, and he ended up in a tag match, which I'm excited to see. And of course, the following later on, they had another show that was called DDT Free that took place a couple of days later. I'm excited to witness. But we cannot forget, of course, AEW Rampage. As you know, we have more on the trios taking place between the House of Black and Dark Order. I have to say that's going to be a much interesting match. Everything else, I can't wait to see what's going to take place. But also, we're going to review NXT UK, NXT Level Up. We're going to see who levels up this week. And if there's any news updates, I'm willing to share that with everyone. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.